The Incredicoaster at Disney's California Adventure in California has become one of the world's most famous roller coasters, and it's pretty easy to see why. In this video, I'll be taking a look at the whole attraction and telling you if it's worth your time when you're at California Adventure. So this is my official review of the Incredicoaster. The attraction opened in 2001, and it was called California Screamin'. It did not have much theming at the time of its opening, so you won't find too much theming in the queue line today outside of some posters and television screens. This is understandable just because they had almost nothing to work with. There's actually more theming during the ride than there is in the queue line, which for being an outdoor steel coaster by Intamin might surprise you. But we'll get to the ride experience in a second. Overall, I'd say the presentation of this ride is much better than the queue line itself, because this coaster looks amazing against the water and with the Ferris wheel in front. It's really one of the most iconic coasters out there. And there's no doubt that presentation would get a 10 out of 10. After pulling down your bulky and admittedly unnecessary over-the-shoulder restraints, you'll roll out of the station and come face to face with a short little show scene. It's a nice way to get the ride going, and throughout the entire experience, there is onboard audio. The story basically goes like this: Jack has escaped and you're on a mission to find him. You then hit your real first element, the launch. It isn't too powerful, but it was actually the first launch I experienced. You can definitely feel it, but it's not going to be incredibly forceful. Get it? Incredibly. Anyways, the first hill gives the best airtime on the ride if you're sitting in the front. You'll really levitate out of your seat on this moment. As far as elements go, the launch, followed by that first big hill in the tunnel, are my favorite moments on the ride for forces. You then pull up to one of many turns. This one traverses you back down at the ground and up into a lift hill sort of element. When you go up the next tunnel, you see Incredibles figures. And Jack is going gooey or something along those lines. I don't know, it's weird. And then you drop down on probably the biggest drop of the ride. In the back, you might get a little airtime here, but not too much anywhere else. After another turn, you come to the ride's signature element, the vertical loop. This is the most disappointing part of the ride. Off-ride, it looks amazing, but when you're on it, it's the shakiest part of the ride, which is too bad considering how nice it looks off-ride. If Disney's going to do track work on any part of the coaster, it needs to be the vertical loop. From here, the ride doesn't really do too much. It kind of does the same thing as the first time, you're just lowered to the ground. That being said, there are a couple of airtime hills near the end. These hills are a mixed bag. Sometimes I've gotten decent airtime and other times there isn't much. Don't expect too much out of these hills, but they can give some floater. And it's really one of the only airtime moments at the park, so it is appreciated. From here, you wind to the brake run. And there's another show scene to boot. So, overall, the ride is very fun, and it's actually a very long experience as well. This coaster actually has well over a mile of track. That makes it one of the longer steel coasters anywhere. And in general, it's just a very fun experience. It isn't intense, and there really isn't a standout moment, but this is one of those coasters that a 5-year-old, a 35-year-old coaster enthusiast, or a 55-year-old could all ride and enjoy. Is it the best coaster at the Disneyland Resort? Yes, I do think it is. It's perfect for a park like Disney's California Adventure to have, as it blends a family-friendly coaster with some thrilling elements into one package. But is it the best Disney coaster in the United States? No, but it's still fun. With Guardians and Tron opening soon, it might not even have a chance. That being said, as of right now, I still prefer Rock and Roller Coaster at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and I also prefer Expedition Everest at Disney's Animal Kingdom. That's not to take away from Incredicoaster, I just think those two rides are a little better. So the question is now, what will its final score be? I've decided to give it an 8 out of 10. I would just describe this coaster as solid. It won't blow you away, but it shouldn't be disappointing either. What's wild to me is that Disney's manufacturer of choice for this coaster, Intamin, this seems like a small coaster for them. They have built some absolute monstrosities over the years, coasters that will just blow your mind looking at it. Down the road, they built Accelerator at Knott's Berry Farm, which goes to 82 miles an hour and has a 200-foot tall top hat. That ride's really awesome, and it's a legit adrenaline rush. And boy, this Swiss manufacturer is not afraid to take risks at all. Some of the things that they've been able to build just blow my mind.